Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. It's going to be a fun one today. I'm not going to be looking at anything too crazy, but I do have a handful of comics here, and as well, a couple other things that I guess I'm just going to be showing off that I've purchased as of late. And then, as always, if there's any sound issues or anything like that, please let me know so that way I can take care of that. But yeah, I have a stack of books here, a couple of different things that I've picked up over like the last week or so. My plan is to actually probably at some point tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to sit and record something and flip through all of these and actually show them off, more in depth, kind of like how I would look or how I would like, I should say. But first things first. So I've recently started getting into like soundtracks and everything like that. So I picked up a Pulp Fiction soundtrack. I have like the Bullet soundtrack, Akira soundtrack, Turtle soundtrack, you name it. It's just something that I listen to and get in a good workflow with. And this is a damn good soundtrack, and also like how they mix some of the things for the movies in here. So highly recommend to listen to this if you already do not have it. I went ahead and I picked up a cassette of The Shadow. So these are just some of the original cassettes from the 20s. Basically, they're reissues of the original radio broadcast from when they had originally published these back in the day. These things are awesome. If you can honestly find these on YouTube. I was just in Half Price Books yesterday and I just happened to find it, so I figured why not? Might as well just go ahead and grab it and just kind of have it in my collection. But they have like old ads in here still, so like Michelin tire ads and cigarette ads, coal ads even. So a lot of interesting things that you kind of hear in here just outside of the radio, play voice broadcast that they had done. All right. So as always, if you guys haven't done so already, I do have a website here. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat for you. And there's a couple of links I'm going to be sharing with you guys here. Where's my chat? Boom. So we got that. And then as well, we're going to be taking a look at this. So this is the second anthology that we're going to be cooking up here. We have a couple of submissions that have already been put in. We're coming up on about 2 weeks now for the deadline. So if you are one of those people out there that is working on this, we will need to get your submission here pretty soon because we're coming up on the deadline. All right, so this is also something that I wanted to share. If you're a cartoonist, artist, or what have you out there, this is a website of somebody that was recommended to me from Sean Crystal. He purchased a couple of these. Basically, they're halftones, screen tones, what have you, that are stamps rather than actually using deleter screen tones and having to cut it out and everything like that. And then you would use the parchment paper to kind of, cut out the design that you would actually want. So this is kind of an interesting way to get around and then saving the money as well on top of the screen tones. So I thought this was a pretty cool idea. All right. Let's go ahead and flip it over on the overhead here. Okay. So this is one of the things that I picked up. If you guys pay attention to anything that I say here, I'm a musician. That's actually what I had gone to school for, and my career path kind of set me on a different trajectory to work on comics. It's weird how that just life just kind of works out that way sometimes. But I had a bass, and as you can see, the bass isn't hanging there anymore. If you guys had watched previous stuff of mine. I decided to sell it off. I'm buying another bass, but one of these MIDI modulator controllers, you can basically do you can play bass with it. I can play piano. I can play drums. I can play bass. So this is just kind of like a replacement until I end up buying another bass. I'm saving up to probably buy a nicer precision bass. But since we're here just for fun, so you have different pianos that's already built into this, and then as well different drums. So this is the rock organ. It's one of the ones that I like to use and to kind of have droning sounds in the background. And then my drums, I'll just use a standard 808, which is kind of like the classic hip hop, I don't know what to call it, drum machine. I don't know how well it's coming through, but hopefully you guys can hear that. But yeah, just a little demo there, I guess, but pitch modulation, all sorts of goofy stuff on here. So if you guys don't have one of these already, this is an Akai Professional Play. I think it's like $120 roughly. The Akai MPK3, that one specifically, you can plug it into, well, I mean, this one you can as well, plug it into like a DAW system, Pro Tools, whatever you'd be using, and record it that way. But that one doesn't have the capability to record loops, which is fine. The other one does. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, I'd probably look into the other Akai Mini that they make. All right. So if you guys are not Patreons on the Ink Pulp Patreon, they're going to be releasing the episode here up in the most recent episode that they're going to be putting out here for their podcast. It was just released early for Patreons. They talk pretty heavily about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I know this Hunter S. Thompson specifically is like a big influence on Jim Mahfood. After picking this up and kind of looking through it, I was only familiar with the movie. I've never read the book before. They were just talking about the crazy illustrations that are in this, and just like the off-the-wall story. Like I said, I was familiar with the movie, so I started to get into this a little bit yesterday, and I think I read about 10 pages or so into it. A lot of this at the beginning was a new forward that somebody had wrote, but the illustrations in this are just insane. Ralph Steadman wasn't somebody that I was familiar with, and I'm glad that I now know who he is because, yeah, that art aesthetic is just crazy good. Some of it is not very, YouTube friendly, so do keep that in mind. So I'm kind of looking to see, yeah, that we cannot show. But yeah, it's just like really cool, like thin line art type of stuff. And I've guessed that they like reproduced this book in the past without the original drawings in here, which I think is strange because the illustrations I think really drive home, the point of the book. Oh yeah, that we cannot show. That one is a little wild. We can show this. Because yeah, some of it, it's mostly just like nudity and just crazy things like that. So can't be showing that off. And this is like something that was kind of like wild to me, is like this. Oh, here's just an ink splatter in the middle of the book. Just like adding personality like that to it. Good stuff. And I honestly can't wait to actually pound through this and read it. Something I've been trying to make more of an effort of is like actually reading just more actual books in general, not just like comics all the time. So I ended up finding this at Half Price Books, and this has been on my list of things to pick up. Tom Schuele is a King Kayfabe Lieutenant, whatever you want to look at him. I pretty much have all of his books, if not a majority of them. I'm pretty sure I own all of his stuff now at this point. Um, he he's a great cartoonist. I love Jack Kirby. I just never picked this up because every time I go into the comic shop, it's always sold out, and I happen to find it at half price books for like 45% off. So I ended up paying like $15, I think, for this. Cannot go wrong. And if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to turn this light on here, bring it up a little bit. There we go. If you're not familiar with this book at all, it's basically just the life story of Jack Kirby. Probably a little sensationalized. I haven't read this yet, but I'm familiar with it because Kayfabe had looked at it. And like I said, I'm a fan of Tom Scioli's, but I think this is kind of like a sensationalized version a little bit of his biography, but he still tries to play it very grounded and close to home. So, if you're into, I guess, a comic book history and the likes, this is probably a good book for you to pick up. Well, this is like iconic Silver Surfer right there. So, Jack Kirby, King Comics. I also ended up picking up Queen of the Ring. These are oversized books, that's why they're not in frame here. I honestly was super surprised that I found this at Barnes & Noble of all places. Typically when you go to a Barnes & Noble, it's usually just going to be your standard Marvel, DC's, Image books, things like that. Hardly see Fantagraphics, and if you do see Fantagraphics books, they're usually going to be like reprints of like the Disneys, you know, the Popeyes, so on and so forth. So when I saw, like literally I saw the spine, and I was like, oh, I already know exactly what that is. Snatch it up, and I'm aware that a lot of the times with Fantabucks, the sales that Fantagraphics runs and all that kind of stuff, you can typically get these books on like a super steep steal. It's been one that's been on my list, and I actually have, oh man, what is it? There's 11 Rockets art book that I own that has a lot of this stuff in it, but it's not just straight up the Queen of the Ring stuff in general. This cable here, let me move this. Getting in my way. There we go. All right, so like I was saying, this typically you don't see Fantagraphic stuff out in the wild. This book is one of those ones that's been on my list for a long time because I saw it in that Love and Rockets art book. I think that's where I'd seen it at. I just never ended up picking this up. I know that a lot of these drawings Jim Rugg has reproduced in some sort of way, or I had at least taken a lot of inspiration from this book and just all of these Queen of the Ring drawings. Like I just, every time I see the Hernandez brothers stuff, it's like Jim Rugg is the first person I think of immediately. Good shit though, man. On to the next one. So these are just going to be quick little cover show-offs here, and then we're going to move on to the next. Like I was saying earlier, I'm actually going to sit down and record a flip through of these. But for the sake of time, because there's a pretty big stack here, and then plus I have other things I'm going to be picking up, probably Tuesday is when I got to get over to the comic shop. They're closed on Mondays, so I'll probably end up recording something on Tuesday. Then, with that being said, because that's when I'm going to be getting the rest of my comics. All right. So this is extremely silly number 1. I'm going to shut this off so there's not a glare off these Mylars. Extremely silly number 1. I had flipped through this a little bit. For what it is, it's like a lot of parody comics. There's like turtle parodies in here. That's what Samurai Penguins is. Large Rats as well. This cartoonist that did Samurai Penguins and Large Rats, I'm pretty sure it might be the same dude. But I'm pretty sure that I have comics in my collection of the same cartoonist, because I believe he's worked on other things, because like these eyes are just very, very distinct to me. So I'm pretty sure that I've seen other art by this dude before in my collection. But this is a cool little zine thing. As you can see, it's a little bit oversized. So I'm probably gonna have to stick this in my magazine rack. But yeah, this is just like a fun little parody comic, like Mr. Clean. Look at all that filth. And just stupid anthology bullshit that I like. You know how it goes. All right, so Saguri, good old Mobius. This is one that's actually going to go on a shelf, so I'm going to take it out of its thing. Let's go ahead and just do a quick little look at it. If you're not a fan of Mobius, what are we doing here? Well, it's just straight up just Batman. Off the wall, I believe he, what's his name, Jean, yeah, he just has straight up his name is Mobius, Jean Mobius Gerard, I think is how you'd say his name. French dude, super influenced guys like Darrow. I get kind of like, when did this come out? '87. Okay. Just crazy colors. Yeah, it's insane just how much Mobius and Jeff Darrow draw similarly. And then as well, just like the out there imagery. What was that? Okay, YouTube ain't gonna like that or this, but oh yeah, man, I get down with this. It's gonna be a fun read. Save that. Describe the standard wizard. Alright, you gotta go. Dog was in here making too much noise. So yeah, I picked up a wizard. I grab a couple of key issues. Typically the wizards I only grab or like ones that like Todd did cover for, Larson did cover for, you know, like the Image dudes. All the Image guys are on this one. So, snagged that. Turtles number 5 for Archie. Coincidentally, I already owned this, and I should have known that. Like, I already had it in my phone, but for whatever reason, I did not think that I owned this already. I only paid $5 for it, so can't really go wrong. It's still an Archie Turtles comic. You'd be able to flip it for more than that. Good old Vampirella Ashcan. I love my ash cans. I don't know why. I just have a thing for them, so I collect them. Mondo Snarfo. So this is a pretty early kitchen sink book, because this still says Kitchen Sink Enterprises. It doesn't say Kitchen Sink Press when they had changed their name. Just look at the list of artists that are in this thing. R. Crumb, Bill Griffith, Spiegelman, Armstrong, like literally everybody that's in this list here. Uh, Probably in my flip through video, probably not gonna look at this. I've already read this because this is like, you know, Kitchen Sink. That's like my go-to comic company. Um, there's too much wild shit that's in here. Dennis Kitchen did this cover, but yeah, this is, you know, your typical R. Crumb style underground comics. So this is definitely not going to be getting showed. Just so you're aware. All right. So at one point in time, this was a free Cartoon Network comic. I'm assuming it was like an ash can of some sort. I looked at this. It's incredible. I love Cow and Chicken. I have been trying my damnedest to find these comics for like the longest time, and I was tabling at a con last weekend. That's why I didn't stream on Sunday. Which I had tried to stream from there, but it was in like a hotel banquet hall room style thing, and the reception in there was terrible. Like I was even trying to send texts and they were failing in there, so it's like trying to connect to YouTube just wasn't gonna happen. But as you guys know, I'm big into cartoon comics, and these Cartoon Network comics have been on my list for a very long time, and I just never see them. I'm not entirely sure how rare they are, because I'm sure that probably a million of these things have been reprinted. I just never see them, so hard to say. But I am glad that I finally snagged one of those. Alright, then we got a Rocko's Modern Life #2. This was through the Marvel label there when they had done that with like Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead cartoon comics. I believe that's my first Rocko's Modern Life issue of the original series. I think they have since done, like Nickelodeon has done like other Rocko's Modern Life reissues in like a paperback, or have done separate stories, I should say, in a paperback. I don't know if they're reissues. Yeah, so these price tags that are on here, I did not pay for these. All of these books that are like in these single issues that have been showing off, they were 4 for 10 was the deal actually. So it's like I got these things on a steal. Yeah, because like some of these books, like I have Red Room books that are in here, and like you look them up on eBay and they go for like $30 a piece roughly. And some of these other ones, obviously I'm not in it for the money at all, but it's just the principle of the thing. You know, you still get like that excitement, like, oh shit, like I just found like $100 book for like $2, like fuck, and you throw that in your collection, you know. So I'm a big fan of Darkwing Duck. I like, honestly, like the Disney Afternoon stuff I've always been a fan of. So your DuckTales, your Darkwing Duck, your Goof Troop, that kind of thing. Just Disney outside of that, I just never really cared for, to be honest with you. But those 90s Disney cartoons I really liked. Another cartoon comic that's been on my list for a long time, Mucha Lucha. First time I've seen an issue of it in general. So this show was like super popular when I was probably like 9, 10 years old roughly. So yeah, this says 03, so I would have been 10 at that time, in August. So yep, I can never remember the other characters' names until like I look at them, and then I can remember. But of course, like everybody remembers the flea, right? So good stuff. Short-lived cartoon. And of course, we got our red room. We're just gonna do this with it, cause I think you guys get it. It is a dude, um, who's has a sword sticking out of his neck, with a pizza cutter in his armpit, and his entrails are all spilled out on the floor. Um, Yum. Okay. So I grabbed a bunch of Red Room stuff. So I grabbed 4 Red Room issues. Anytime that I see Red Room, Grand Design, Street Angel, what have you, anything kayfabe related, especially Jim and Ed's, I typically will snag them up. And these were in the same boat. So I grabbed all 4 of these Red Room books. Like I said, this Red Room book here as well. I'm not going to show the cover of it, but $10 for all 4 of them, which is like fucking nuts, especially for Red Room books. But I want to say that I might already have this one. I don't know, but what I was getting at is I do is what I call like rescue missions. For if it's anything kayfabe related, especially Ed and Jim stuff, I will dig them out of the bins and I will save them. I'll send them out to my friends. I'll make sure they go to a good home because I don't want them to fucking rot in these fucking long boxes, basically. So that's what I do. But yeah, like I said, I think I already own this issue. I'm on if I can speak the English, I'm not 100% sure. I don't keep track of my Red Rooms or just my kayfabe stuff in general because, like I said, it's like I see it, I buy it. That's just the rule. So I don't keep track. And if I do have doubles of it for when I go to put my stuff in the long boxes, then at that point, that's where I just decide to separate with it. And finally, I got some more Max issues. Every time I go to my LCS, it's like I dig and dig and dig for Max issues. Like the Max is up there for one of my favorite comics, just period. I'm a big fan of Sam Keith, but I'm a really big fan of the Max. It's just like the universe of the Max, especially the cartoon, like the animated series. It has like a weird motion, like image motion motion comic sort of look to it. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain because some of the images in the background, like they're still, but they move. Has a very unique look to it. But I have issues like 1, 2, 12, 5, there's like random ones like that because when you go, like I said, to my LCS, you just never see these things, so they're just kind of scattered in there when you do find them. So I found these at the con, good old a 3 and a 6, reasonably priced. Again, they say $4 a piece, but that's not the case. What I wanted to say though about the seller that I've got all this stuff from, so like all these Red Rooms, all of these comics I bought from the same guy because he was running like a killer deal, and then the books that weren't the 4 for 10s, he was running everything else was 30% off. So I've met that dude in the past when I've actually gone to those cons because it's like a traveling con. It's like a group of like the same like 20 sellers, and I just finally decided to kind of hop on the train and table at one because they're in the area because they kind of travel around the Midwest. So they do like Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, and I think that's like really like the kind of circle that they really do. So pretty much every weekend they're in a different city/state, which is kind of cool. And they do it year round, so they don't just do it during the summer and what have you. But I talked to the guy, and he like actually runs a shop, and he's interested in selling my books, and I gave him some at the con. But we sat and we talked kayfabe for a little while, and that was pretty nice. Like being at a con and just shooting the shit with somebody about Ed and Jim was pretty awesome. All right, on to the next here. So the last time I had run one of these episodes was probably like a month or so ago, and as you guys know, I like to get these Beavis and Butthead issues, the Marvel Does Beavis and Butthead comics done. Try to get 3 done, like comics done in every video. Get a video done, slap one out every month, and I think it's been about a month or so since I did the last one. So probably next week we'll probably pull these out, but I have a hell of a time finding these, and again, I was at the con, and I happened to find these hard-ass issues. So this is a 23, this is a 22, and I think this is a 16, yeah. So these later issues, basically, with Beavis and Butthead comics, anything from, I would say the first 12 issues and after that are extremely hard to find just because they're low print. And then you got to think too, these were considered like kids comics, cartoon comics. So they get used and abused, ripped up, thrown away, crumbled up, you name it, and just get lost throughout time because that's what kids did, right? They just used and abused them. So the ones that have a lower print rate are harder and harder to find. They're not super expensive books. Like $20, I think, is like the max that you probably spend on a single issue, probably for Beavis and Butthead. It's literally just finding it. That's the problem. And even on eBay, when you look for them, it's like good luck, because even those people don't have full collections. The single issues that they do have aren't the ones that you need, are like the more common ones. So it's just one of those things. They're not super expensive. They're just hard to come by. And then added another one of these, a number 41. And I looked at my phone, and I think they did 43 issues, but there's like 50 of them total. My numbers are probably wrong, but I'm just spitballing here, just trying to remember. Because they did a bunch of like specials that they don't number, so like your annuals, they did like a summer special, so on and so forth. So just things like that don't have an actual number. So there's like 43 numbered issues, but there's another 6 or 7 specials and so on and so forth on top of that as well. So they did a shitload of these Ren and Stimpy comics. And same thing with Beavis and Butthead. These later issues are harder to find, and there's more of these. I think with Beavis and Butthead, they only did like 32 issues, maybe only 30 issues. And I think they did like 2 or 3 trade paperbacks for the Beavis and Butthead stuff. Ren and Stimpy, there's no trade paperbacks for these, I don't think. Which is like kind of crazy to me, but these are, you come across these way more often, especially like number 1 through like 20 you see pretty often. You can just like walk into really any comic book shop, and usually you'll be able to find some sort of Ren and Stimpy comic. And then of course, big cartoon interview sort of thing that I like to do. So Comic Journal, this is a big thick boy, as you can see. I have read through some of this already. There's some crazy ass interviews in this Comics Journal. There is Gary Panter, Will Eisner, yeah, who else is in this? Carl Barks, Dan Klaus. So it's just good shit, man. And it's like, Dan Klaus and Carl Barks are like 2 dudes that I hold at like, some of the highest regards. I really like Gary Panter a lot too. But he's not like, a dude that I'd put in like a top 10 for me, but I really like his art aesthetic, obviously. But Comics Journals, your Jack Kirby collectors, all that kind of trash I collect, and I like reading those style of interview books. And this, like I said, this is a big thick boy, and once I actually got into this, it's like there's illustrations in there, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. Some Comics Journals, especially I think like the earlier issues, they're like newspapers more or less, just text on text on text on text. This one was a lot more enjoyable to read because of the all of the integration of the illustrations. So this is Comic Journal 250 from 03. Yeah, I really haven't picked up much else. I mean, I can show this stuff off, I guess. I did pick up a couple of cassettes recently outside of the Shadow one that I shut off towards the beginning. MC Hammer, please don't hurt him, Hammer. I mean, say what you will, I think the dude's super talented. Especially like this record and the one previous to this. I think there might even be another one previous to this. That's kind of more like underground, but his first like 2 or 3 records are incredible, man. It's like highly recommend to actually like give him a shot. And if you haven't heard it, he did a song for the Turtle soundtrack, and that thing's a banger. Of course, Rat, Dancing Undercover. I think Rat is probably like the best band to come out of the 80s. Super talented, the dude's just a rip. And then another Yo Bum Rush the Show. My Public Enemy tapes, some of them are wonky. This one I already own, and it's not wonky. But I try to double down on them because with cassettes, you literally do not know. You'll get home and you'll listen to it. There'll be warbles in it, weird popping, crackling. You know, it's like the speed just like wow, 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 and it like does that effect on it where the sound gets higher and lower, or where the sound drags, the tapes break, so on and so forth. So, it's an analog technology, and that's the kind of reason why I like the cassettes and the vinyls, because like I like touching things. Obviously, comic books and all that. It's like I'm one of those kinds of people that has to have something physical. So I have to double down on some of my cassettes and everything like that because they just go bad. So anytime I see, especially like a Public Enemy tape, I always pick them up. Typically, they're not super expensive. You know, whatever, $5 to like $9 for a cassette. But like my Fear of a Black Planet, going to full here. Yeah, like my Fear of a Black Planet and Nation of Millions, like those cassettes are whack. There's like songs on them where they're just completely unlistenable. They're, you know, the playability on them is that bad, and I try not to play the tapes because I feel like every time you play it, it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. So try not to. But yeah, they definitely need to get replaced. I think overall though, like Apocalypse 91, I think is like the Public Enemy record I found myself coming back to the most. I think it's that record is when they first started to introduce live drums. They probably used live drums in the past, obviously, in some of their mixes, but it's like it's predominant on like that and Music Is Our Message. It's like they just did nothing but use a live drum through like the entire record. And it makes so much big of a difference with a live drummer actually playing over top of the tracks rather than just staying on a drum machine. What side you're on, especially if you're a drummer, I'd highly recommend to listen to that. A lot of like fills going over the bar lines and stuff. It's just good shit. Just good drumming in general. With that being said, I'm still in class, so we are on week 7 out of 10. So we have three more weeks to go. So it's kind of like crunch time. I've been working my ass off. I got a bunch of cover concepts kind of sitting on my drawing desk right now that I'm working on yesterday. I don't know how much more drawing I'm gonna get done today. It's like Sundays and Mondays I kind of treat like admin days, where it's like I'll do laundry, you know, pay bills, that kind of crap. So, do work on my website and all that kind of stuff. So I might do a little bit of drawing and whatnot here at a little later in the day today. But I think I'm gonna continue to kind of like work on the cover and kind of see where I need to go, because that's going to be due for homework next week. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm going to have a new blog post. I'm going to get off here and get that wrote up, and then once we have that done, I'm probably going to start tackling some of this just, you know, life work and things like that that I got to do, cleaning the house and all that kind of stuff. And tomorrow I got some other things that's going on. But this upcoming week, I'm probably gonna have just a normal video. Everything that we looked at, I'm probably gonna open up, flip through, and then I'm gonna have a larger collection of stuff that we're gonna be looking at, because I'm gonna be grabbing stuff from the local comic shop. It's just they're closed on Sundays and they're closed on Mondays, and like those are the best 2 days for me to kind of like get around and do things, because like those other like Tuesday, Wednesday, or like days that I try to really focus on getting good comics done, and just sitting and just doing nothing from the moment I get up until I go to bed, basically just like drawing for, you know, 8-10 hours a day, or just working on comics in general that much. Because like Thursday, Fridays, we were in a class, half class, so I will be drawing and everything like that during those times too, obviously, but it's just more of a time management thing, because I'm also working on other projects, so I have to get pages photoshopped for the anthology that's coming out and everything like that as well. So it's kind of like crunch time. So I think that's what I'm gonna call it, though. I really didn't have too many people come, hang out the stream. It's all good though. I think that I might end up moving this operation to like a Monday, and seeing how that goes, because I think we might do like a Monday afternoon, and when everybody's kind of up earlier in the day, because obviously I'm a morning person. I prefer to do this stuff early in the morning. We'll get popping on that and see if we can do like some sort of schedule change and see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's probably where I'm gonna end up calling. I really don't have too much else to say. Keep an eye out on my website. I'm gonna put up another blog post here in a little bit. I'm gonna get right started on that, and then I'm gonna get cracking on some other things for comics, probably Photoshop some pages, and then I'll call it for the day. You know, thanks for hanging out, talking comics. Keep an eye out, and we'll have a video out later on.